I edited this video and posted it a couple weeks ago, but I wasn't very happy with the way it turned out. It was a lot darker in the posting than what the video is, even though the video is a little bit dark. So I'm going to try it again and see how it turns out. To start with, we're going to go ahead and taxi out of the harbor of Petersburg, the seaplane base. And on the way out, we meet a beaver coming in. There's plenty of room for us and the beaver to pass, or two airplanes to pass in here. It does get kind of tight out there going out because they put that drive down ramp there, and there's a lot of boats that use it. And then just on the other side of the seaplane docks here, the ramps, is the fuel dock, and that gets a lot of business too. And we always get a bunch of small boats buzzing out underneath the pilings there on the right side of the ramp, or the dock going down to the drive down dock. They come jetting out of there right across where we're taxiing out, so we got to watch out for them. Anyway, this year's not too bad. There's not near as much boat traffic as usual, and today there's not very much at all. I meet one boat coming out of here as I'm taxiing down towards the ferry terminal, warming up the engine, getting ready to take off. Turn to the southwest after exiting the seaplane harbor and taxi down past the ferry terminal. The ferry terminal's not been used much this year. The state's doing the best they can to run it out of business. Now I've turned to the northeast there and making my takeoff run. You see two boats there on the right, far right. One of them is a 58-foot Delta Seine boat, and then the next white boat is the Anacapa, which is a Coast Guard cutter. The pilings there is a city dock, and that's where Petromarine is, the fuel dock, where all the boats get fueled up. And then the seaplane base and the drive down dock, and then just past the drive down dock is the South Harbor. The green buildings coming up is the Ocean Beauty seafood processing plant, and we've got the North Harbor, and the next green buildings are the Omer cannery, or now it's a Trident cannery, and then the light blue buildings just past it or adjacent to it are the Icicle Seafoods processing plant. There's a blue building just up the hill from that with a little bit darker blue. That is the Petersburg School. That's a combination middle school and high school. I'm going to head out here into the Wrangell Narrows and then take a right here toward the east and head down towards Wrangell and south towards Ernest Sound. Mitkoff Island is going by on our right. The Alaska mainland is on the left. Just to the left of the nose is the north arm of the Stikine River, The Stikine River splits into three arms as it comes out, and this is the northernmost arm. And then coming up is what's called Dry Straits. You can see that's a little narrow strait between Mitkoff Island and I think that's Dry Island here on the left of us. And this goes dry at low tide nearly. It used to be kept open when the tugs were towing logs through here. They would kind of keep it open a little bit more, but there haven't been any logs being towed through for years. Just went by the middle arm of the Stikine River and we're going across these grassy flats here and coming into the south arm. The peninsula just off to the right of the nose where it sticks out there is where Wrangell's at, and the Wrangell Airport is on this side of that, so I'm going to stay over here against the mainland and low down underneath the clouds here and stay out of the traffic pattern. And then once we get past the traffic pattern and past any interference with the airport there in Wrangell, I'm going to go ahead and cross over to the Wrangell Island side. We're going down Blakely Channel, commonly called the back channel. Wrangell Island is right here on the right and the mainland is on the left. So get down here, the channel takes a hard left and then goes through a real narrow spot and then continues on south. We're not going to go that way today. The clouds have lifted enough that I can go through a little pass here that'll take us across Wrangell Island and bring us out down on the south end of the island at Fool's Inlet. And we got just enough ceiling and good visibility to get through here safely. We come out the other end on Fool's Inlet, and then I'll slow the recording speed back down to nearly normal, 1.2 times the speed, and it'll do a stream survey in Fool's Inlet. We'll be just looking for fish just above the intertidal area, just in the start of the freshwater and in the intertidal, and then out in the saltwater to see what fish are coming in here to Fool's Inlet. And then immediately across from Fool's Inlet is Point Ward, and there are boats, seine boats fishing out there. So we're doing a combination fish survey today, and we're surveying the seine fleet to see where they're fishing and what they're catching. So there'll be a couple boats there at Point Ward. We'll get the names and numbers off of those, and then we'll turn up and head towards Ann Creek to do a stream survey there. So this is coming out into Fool's Inlet here now, and like I said, we're just doing just a quick stream survey here and a fish survey. There are two seiners fishing here at Point Ward. We were able to recognize both of them without getting too close. We did look to see if we could see what they were catching, but neither one of them had their nets pursed up enough to see what fish they were getting. So we flew over here, looked at them, got their names, and then I'm going to go ahead and fly onto the shoreline here and fly down the shoreline where I can look out into the water and see any fish moving along the shoreline towards Ann Creek. We'll fly up to Ann Creek and then do a circle around the outer bay, the saltwater, looking for any fish there before we head up the creek to start looking for fish in the stream itself. Now we're over the outer bay of Ann Creek here. Bradfield Canal goes off to the right. Straight ahead of us is the lower end of the Blakely Channel, or the back channel. That's Blakely Island right there in the middle of it. And then of course this is Ernest Sound, everything to the left of us, and that's looking back out towards Point Ward there. I'm going to go ahead and circle around here and go back over the outer bay again, looking for any fish we may have missed coming around it the first time. And then Annan, there is several places to look for fish that are kind of distinct. On the lower section of the river there's a lagoon, a salt lagoon, that's tidal, and the fish go in there. And then there's some rapids, some rocks going up to a falls. The falls stops the fish from going up very quickly there, and the fish build up below it. And there's a bear observatory there. It's real popular with the tourists and people that want to watch the bears feeding on the fish. And the fish get above that falls. There's a quiet area there that's only about 100 yards long or so, and then there's another set of falls that they've got to negotiate before they get up into the main river system or stream system. So we'll circle around in the lagoon a little bit, looking for fish there and in the rocks, and then over the falls and between the falls, and then we run up the stream. And I can't really do a full stream survey today because the clouds kind of limited me to just the lower section of the river. We had a pretty good look at the falls and between the falls and that area on the lower section of the stream. So we're going to go ahead and head up the stream now, and the stream takes several bends to it. We'll follow it up as far as I can, and we're looking for fish all the way up. And then once I get up in there as far as I can, I'll go ahead and turn around and we'll fly back down the stream, see if we can't get another count back down the stream. Then they can kind of compare the two counts together and get an average of what's there. It's been a really tough year doing stream surveys this year. We've had a lot of rain. I think there was almost 9 inches of rain in July. This video was taken on July 19th. So the streams are really high, and in this country when the water is high, it's not only difficult to see into because it's deep, but it gets a lot of tannins in it, so it turns really dark. And of course these fish, the pinks, are dark anyway, so they kind of blend into the stream. But we do the best we can here, and we'll get a pretty decent count. After coming out of Ann Creek, I'm going to go ahead and turn down the shoreline here again. I'm still looking for fish out here in the salt water, but we're not going to see very much here. I'm going to go back out to Point Ward, and I go ahead and cross over Point Ward and drop down close to the water here, and so we can get names and stuff off the boats that are fishing along this shoreline. It's the Cleveland Peninsula to the left of us, and right now it's the Wrangell Island on the right of us. We'll head on down here and count the boats and look for jumpers. I actually see a few jumpers along here going down. We're going to go through Seward Passage here now. It's Deer Island on the right of us, and of course the Cleveland Peninsula on the left of us. See a boat coming through the passage here headed to the east, which is a good sign that they're not catching very many fish out here. As we come out of the end of Deer Island, there's a couple of guys fishing there, and then we'll get down here towards Point Eaton, and that's where the main fleet is. We'll slow down there and do a fleet survey there, and then we'll continue doing fish surveys. Well, we got the names of all these boats, and we could see a couple of guys that were pulling fish on board. It didn't look like they had very much, so it doesn't look like a very good day for them today. That's Point Eaton there off to the left. There's a marker on that that separates the fishing districts here, and everything behind us was open. Everything out here ahead of us is closed. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go down this way looking for fish. We did see some disturbances out here in the water. It was a perfectly flat, calm day, which is unusual, and we could see something in the water out here, but it looked around at them and couldn't figure out what they were. Couldn't determine whether they were salmon or some other type of fish, so finally had to give up on them and head back over to the shoreline here. This is still Cleveland Peninsula, and we're going to fly along the shoreline here, Emerald Creek, and look for fish here. And then we're going to head north and start heading home. It's Bronson Island there ahead of us on the left. There's one boat up there about halfway up Bronson Island. We'll go get the name of him, and as we come around the corner we'll head over to Deer Island, and there's one boat fishing right here off of Deer Island, the lower end of it. We'll get the name of him and check and see if he's catching anything, and then we'll start heading home. We got Deer Island to the right of us and Edelin Island to the left of us. the taller mountains straight ahead of us is Wrangel Island, and we're heading up here towards the entryway to Zimovia Passage, which goes between Wrangel Island and Edelin Island. We're going to go ahead and head north up Zimovia Passage, heading back towards Wrangel and then Petersburg on our way home. And just right at the end here, there's two boats hiding in a little cul-de-sac, a little bay right here, but they're tenders, and so they don't really count for what we're looking for.